Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of our Ebb and Flow webcast. Brenda and I are so honored to have with us our first women guest, our featured story that we want to highlight. Of course, it had to be our lovely Esmeralda from Mamacitas. Thank you so much for making the time to sit with us, to chat. Thank you for your grace as we navigated some technical difficulties. But of course, the whole point is to navigate our difficulties with grace and to not allow them to obstruct the message and what we're here to share. With that being said, I'm going to briefly introduce Esmeralda. Brenda and I have actually known Esmeralda for over a decade, and ever since we met back in college, so when Brenda and I were in college, Esmeralda was a mentor to us, and she was somebody that we knew believed in our future. She spoke about it with so much passion. She poured so much of herself into every student, every life, every person that has ever come in contact with her. And so when the future reunited us years later, decades later, right? For Brenda and I, it was the easiest yes. Of course, we know her heart. We felt her pour into us. Of course, we want to pour into her. So that's a little bit of how our journeys unfolded. And Brenda, did I miss anything that was key in that?
No, you touched everything, and it was an easy yes. And what a privilege to pour back into her.
I knew the moment I got to speak with you ladies that you were giving so much of yourselves at that young age to the youth and mentoring them, and it was just such a pleasure to be able to witness. And I knew that we had made the right choice when we selected you as our scholars. And now, fast forward, I have been watching you grow, and the fact that you just took me under your wing, um, has been fantastic. I feel like I'm still flying. And I'm just so grateful that every time I need someone to just listen and be present and say, "You got this," are my you are my girls. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Esme. Yeah, I love it when you call us your girls because we always will be, we're still those little girls as we enter different seasons of our lives. So, what we want to do in this interview is we have a set of questions. We're keeping it light, no more than five, but they're going to be deeper because we'd like to go deep. So, one of the questions that we wanted to bring up, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit, is around your roots. Okay, so we wanted you to take a little bit of time to bring us back to your beginnings, and you did touch a little bit on how we met, but more specifically, Brenda and I want to know what has shaped you the most as a woman, and what have you carried since you were younger, since Esmeralda was the 20-something-year-old, into who you are today.
Wow, this is a big one. And thank you for asking. Oh, I feel like I guess one of the purposes too, like of Mamacitas is right to get deeper in our knowing of each other. You just hit me really with a really good one right off the bat. Okay, my roots. So I am from Puerto Peñasco, Sonora, and the Sea of Cortez. I am a Pisces, and I feel like my light is strengthened when not only when I'm home, but anytime I am near a body of water. I was a very wild and free child back then in the 1980s, in the late 1900s. I mean, I remember, running across the street. My family lived around me, so I had my community, I have my elders, arm's reach, really. I remember running barefoot everywhere. We didn't really wear shoes unless we were going somewhere fancy. We were not rich, but we were not poor. We had everything that we needed, everything that we needed. And I'm going to share like one of my earliest memories. My grandmother did a lot of service, and I really connected with her. And I would see her. She was a boss in La Aduana, and I didn't see many bosses, women, other than her. So she was a very important person in my life, and I looked up to her. And when she would share with me what she was doing and sharing, she was the lead catechist. She was teaching children, and she was visiting jails, and that's always stuck with me, being of service of others. And when we eventually moved to the States, it was really weird being an outsider, and not having family. I remember I started losing my hair. I didn't speak the language. I didn't have any friends. It was really difficult to adapt. And once a new person came in from another place, that was my new friend because I was able to communicate when I wanted them to feel welcome, loved, and appreciated. So I feel like that is something that I've carried throughout. I was 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old. So being that young and needing a space to belong, I think has been like at the root of everything that I do.
Yes, in so many ways. And the listeners get to understand who you are, right? And I'm sure you
You
touched a
touched a
lot of
lot of
turning
turning
points.
points.
I want to fast forward to now and go deeper and let us know what was one of your turning points, the catalyst that really allowed you to go deeper and say, oh, there's something wrong here, or I'm needing more community, or your life just turned upside down, right? If you can share a little bit about that and how that was the starting or maybe the start of what pulled you to start Mamacitas.
Yes, I mean there have been so many, right? It was the first one in my family to go to college, first one to do a lot of things. I just remember I was ready to take flight and leave the nest and do things on my own. And I chose the Pacific Northwest. We found out that my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and even though I asked if I should stay home, but she encouraged me to go. Unfortunately, my mom didn't get better. I think it was sophomore year, winter break of my sophomore year. I came back and I went to a an appointment with her, and the doctor referred her to hospice. And I didn't know what hospice was. I just knew that he said, no, she would be comfortable, she'd be at home, and that's what she wanted. And so that's what we did. I tried to go back to school. I said, I'm like, oh, I'll do a double major, I'll start something different here. I was a computer science major in School of Engineering back then. And unfortunately, my mom only lasted 2 months after she was referred over to hospice. And that was it. My dad is a fisherman by trade. And as you know, we're in Arizona, there's no oceans here. So he worked out of state, out in the East Coast, the majority of the time. So we really only saw him maybe like 3 times a year. That's all he knew how to do. So when my mom passed away, he wanted to go back to fishing and provide for the family. And I was given the option to either go back and finish my degree, and my sisters would be sent to Mexico with my aunts and my grandmother. So I decided to stay, and I just transferred all my everything over to ASU because I was able to secure a private scholarship. I was able to transfer that, and that paid for everything under the sun and then more. So I was incredibly blessed and lucky. So I'm the oldest of four. I was 19. And then there was a 17-year-old sister, a 13-year-old sister, and a 5-year-old sister. I don't want to say a parent. I feel like we raised each other. I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot about myself through them, and they're my heroes. But we didn't have any family, so I didn't have a community, and it was tough. I had a few handful of people that I still keep in touch that would swing by and check in and show so much love and support, and just being seen was so important. And just saying like, hey, just guide me. I don't know what I'm doing. Just got to figure this out one day at a time. So I did not have a lot of friends my age, so that was hard. I was 19, but then I had children, really. So it was difficult to balance. So raising myself, raising my siblings. I ended up getting married, and to the love of my life. Tomorrow's our 20th anniversary.
Congratulations.
We were 23, and I just looked back. I felt so old. I felt I had lived so much, so many lives. And then I look at my siblings and I'm like, oh my gosh, we were babies. We were babies. But I'm so happy and blessed that I found him when I did. He is my rock. But I know that through my experience, again, I'm a Pisces. So I used to cry at everything after I gotta share this one. I go back. I was not allowed to cry the day my mom passed away. It was a week before my birthday. And that night, I told her, hey, don't do anything funny. Like, we're going to have cheesecake. That's her favorite, kind of cake pie. I'm going to go out with a couple of girlfriends to dinner, like up the street. I'll be right back. And I know at that point, it was, I don't know if unconsciously, or I don't know even know why I said it, but I hadn't even ordered my meal when I got a call from home letting me know that she passed away. So a friend drove me back, but I came back and I fell apart. And all I remember was my dad like picking me up and shaking me and saying, you have to be strong. We don't have time. So I stopped, and I stopped crying from that point forward till possibly when my son was born in 2018.
Wow.
So
Yeah. It's what you had to do to survive, right? Because at that point you felt this pressure put on you by your dad of being like, well, you're the oldest one. It's your responsibility, right? And he didn't do it intentionally. It was a more, well, this is what I have to do now. I have to be the strong one too. So he just projected onto you the expectation that he had for himself. But in doing so, it shaped you for basically the rest of your life up until you had your own son.
So the next turning point was when my son was born. It was a really tough delivery. I didn't know if I was going to make it. And I just remember seeing him. I'm like, I just want to make sure that he's okay, that he's healthy. I said a prayer and like left, sent it up. I'm like, if you need to take me, it's okay. But I mean, I just broke down. I bawled and I said, thank you. Thankfully, the team at the hospital, kept me safe. And I saw myself through, saw it through. And my son, such a gift, because I only have sisters. I've never experienced that sweet boy energy, and it's been so magical. But it's a lot. But it's also a lot. Trying to heal physically, but also emotionally, like through everything I'd gone through, in that moment. And then I promised myself like, hey, I feel like I need to go back and do something for me. I had my two oldest girls, I had my son, but I'm like, okay, in 2 years, I feel like I want to do something for me. Well, and 2 years came, and then COVID hit. At that point, I was like, okay, I'm dealing with all the external, issues happening in the world. I can't connect with anybody because I'm alone. I say alone as a woman. I feel like I haven't seen a therapist. I'm pretty sure I had postpartum depression. I had nobody to talk to, and that was hard. Like, I just needed a friend. And I feel like just like everything just started getting stacked on top. I found friendship through a community of gals who were learning how to manage money, and through that also other entrepreneurs. And I'm like, I have it in me. I want to do something different. I want to get out of my head. And so I took on a lot. I started a shop. We had merch. It was so precious. It was so cute. We got into a shop in Mexico. We were doing great. We ended up getting a property in Mexico as well, and I was managing, and I had another consulting job here. So I was doing all the things, and I thought I was amazing. And I felt so good because I could do the kid, take care of the kids, my home.
You're a boss babe, right?
A boss
Doing it
babe.
all.
But I was not taking care of myself. I was still pouring out into these projects, but I was not feeding myself correctly. I was not resting. I was not doing the things I needed to support these ventures and ideas. And in 2023, my body told me I needed a break. I had unresolved issues from my pregnancy. I had, so there was a lot. It turns out I was shy of needing a blood transfusion. My doctor asked me how I even made it to the clinic. And in my head, I was like, I just get things done. I just make it work. I just
You're always there
Uh-huh.
for everybody else, right? You're so used to being there for everyone that you're like, I don't care. My body's gonna have to make it work because it doesn't have time to get sick, right? That level of
Exactly.
yeah.
And that was a rude awakening. And I learned the hard way to let go. Um, these things that I thought I needed to feel me, to feel productive, to feel valued, to feel were slowly killing me. And they're slowly killing me. And I mean, and I take responsibility on, but nobody else's. But I thought that's what was gonna get me out of a very dark and emotional like hole. And so, with the help of my husband, who he took on everything that I was doing in the household. Everything else I let go of. Everything else needed to wait. And that was really, really difficult. And that was the point where I slowly shared with other women what I was going through. And that filled me. I didn't have to put a project together for them. I didn't have to, do a presentation. I didn't have to show up with makeup and my nice clothes. It was literally, hey, this is going on and I don't know what to do. And that opened up the door to a conversation. And they've been so gracious in holding space for me, my words and my emotions.
Brings me back to one of our last two questions of this interview is you just said we created those spaces, right? We created those spaces for ourselves. And then you had the courage to want to create those spaces for other women to feel like they can go rest and give back to themselves and nourish themselves back. And so, one of the themes of our fall retreat being in feminine flow, which we continue to talk about that beautiful balance of the execution, the structure, the container, the masculine energy, and then the ease of being in our feminine flow. And so we came up with that name. And what does that mean to you, being in your feminine flow, now that we get to experience it? We're creating that space for other women, and we are making it a whole theme in your hometown, which every time you say you grew up there, I just think of you as this little sirenita, little mermaid, and so close to home. And now you get to open up those doors and show us around and being by water. We are a body of water overall. So being in the body of water, but also metaphorically being in flow and allowing to tap into that feminine flow. So what does all that mean to you?
Home. I mean, you can't say anything, you know, more than like, how do you describe home? Like, home is peace. Home is roots. Home is love. Home is um, safety. And I cannot wait for you and the girls that are coming to experience home with me. Every activity, every piece of my home is built into this retreat. If you are holding back the flow of your life, of your body, your femininity, lo que sea, todo, we're gonna do it together. I haven't been back in a couple of months, and I know my my entire spirit is calling me back to come home, but also opening up my arms and just embracing all of you and bringing you with me along, for the experience.
Everybody that gets to experience them, be there, has something to let go of. And I think it starts with that, right? It starts with surrendering, letting go, acknowledging, being aware, and saying, hey, this is the thing that's been weighing heavy on me, and it's time to let it go. And once you let it go, you allow other things to flow in. And I think all of us have something to let go that we can finally put to rest. Imagine just all of us in this circle and going into the water and, getting our feet wet and being in sand and being together and saying, yes, we support each other, we see each other. And then having a closing ceremony on the beach together, maybe a fire pit, and
Maybe.
just talking through all that and saying, you know what? I feel so supported. Maybe I wouldn't have let go of this if I wasn't in this type of environment or circle. And it's permission, it's giving permission to ourselves and to others. And we've done it in so many different ways by ourselves in different circles. And we've seen the impact that it continues to have in these spaces that we create. And it's always serendipitous that everybody in there has something so magical to give, and the energy. Whoever is there, we already know is meant to be there.
Oh, 100%. And just touching on, what we've created in the past for our retreat in Elgin, which was, taking root. And I feel like it's so fitting, right? Like we gathered, and we shared ways to implement self-care in our daily lives, like easily, right? Make it part of our routine and planting this seed, right, on making ourselves a priority in our lives. And now, we were always going to have this second retreat, but now I feel like not only am I helping like lead, but I'm also a participant. I get to do this together, and I feel like that's so special to me, and a little scary, because I am excited to share with the women that are participating, and just pouring back into ourselves, pouring into our vessel, and to come back and give an overflow and be intentional about the time that we give and the love and the joy, and share our light without resentment, and just doing every act in love.
So, to finish this off, a little bit more details about the retreat. Who is this for? If somebody's watching this, listening, it's relating to your story, saying, maybe it is for me, maybe that calling, right? Who is this for? If that person's listening, to give them that little nudge and saying, yeah, this is your sign.
Mamacita, of course it's for you. This is for the mamacita that is seeking a space where they can feel held and heard and seen. If you've been carrying a load, this is the time to carry light. We will unpack and unload and let go together. This is for whether you're a mother, stepmother, pet parent, if you don't have any pets, if you're a woman and you feel like you need connection with women, this is for you.
If you need to mother yourself, our inner children, right? If we have to mother ourselves, this is for you. If you were the one that did the mothering or took your needs aside for a moment, now is the time to mother yourself again and show up.
If you're 19-year-old me, if you're 8-year-old me, I just want to love this child, and let's bring out the joy and be playful and be surrounded by other 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds selves that need to be cared for and loved and feel safe. There's no judgment, and if you've been caring for others, and if you've been pouring out of your vessel and you feel like there's nothing left, let's fill you up, and let's do it by the sea. We're grounded in the desert in Elgin, and now we are headed to Sea of Cortez to fill our cups and water ourselves so we can truly grow into our next season.
It's going to be October 16th through the 19th. Please reach out to Mamacitas or the Feminine Ethos when you feel called. Come by yourself or bring a friend and come flow with us in the Sea of Cortez. Thank you so much, Esmeralda, for your time, for your story, for being vulnerable, open, for allowing others to connect to you and your story, and for creating these spaces together and allowing others to come and join us and also feel connected and vulnerable, and find a new group of friends that are deeply rooted with being in our feminine, motherhood, or just trying to survive and doing life and moving from that transition from surviving to thriving.
I can't wait to see you.